Yo, what is up, Rambling Raiders listeners? Welcome back to the podcast for episode 160. We're still talking about football, but with a very special guest on tonight's episode. You're listening to some premium Texas Tech content with the occasional laugh. We are in partnership with Guns Up Nation and a part of the Guns Up Nation podcast network, guys. Real quick, if you haven't already, our social medias, rate, review, subscribe. We're on Apple Pod, Spotify. You can catch us on Instagram at Ramble On Raiders, Twitter at Ramble On Raiders, and then our Facebook page is Ramble On Raiders Podcast. Be sure to check us out on all of those. And then also, biggest announcement I can tell y'all is our YouTube channel. If you want to tune into The Rip, which is our new live interactive segment that we have coming up with, Hot Takes with Laney Cakes. Y'all know him well, all of our Ramble On Raiders followers. And then our newest edition, Big Pick Joe. I always got to make sure I clarify on that. He's been on a heater lately with MLB picks. Really is deeply involved in the sports gambling world. He's going to be giving out some bona fide hitters there, and you ride with him. We'll see if he's up, if he's down. He can take the heat. He can take the criticism. It's going to be a fun, like I said, interactive segment talking about Texas Tech sports, coupled with a little bit of gambling content as well. And so that's our YouTube channel again, Ramblin' Raiders Media. Make sure you drop us a sub there. And without further ado, guys, for all of our, anyone watching, you can see he's a man that is known amongst the college sports Twitter sphere, the Texas Tech Red Raider Twitter sphere. Love interacting with this guy. And I got to say, I'm actually disappointed in myself that it's taken this long to get him on our podcast, because we've, collaborated with him joined him, I should say, on his Twitter Spaces. We've had a good time interacting back and forth on Twitter. Without further ado, no introduction needed, but it's RC. That cola is actually pretty solid. Maxfield. RC, what's up, man? Welcome to the pod.
Appreciate you having me on, man. Yeah, I don't know if the soda's solid. Let's be honest, it's low tier. I'm just trying to bring that RC name up a little bit, but great value, Walmart brand all the way over RC. No doubt
can't
about
beat
it.
Now I'm going to say it's not quite as good as one of these right here.
That's factual. That's factual.
Yeah, that's facts. But you know what? I'm not a picky guy. My wife gives me a lot of mess about it, but I like Pepsi, and I'll admit RC. Yeah, RC definitely not Coca-Cola, but I think it gives it a run. It's in there.
Pepsi over Coca-Cola. Come at me on Twitter. I don't care. I don't care. I want all the smoke necessary. Pepsi over Coke. It's a fact. Intelligent people know that.
I love it. No, I couldn't have asked. Honestly, I'm down to scrap the whole outline, just talk about the Pepsi versus Coke debate, because my wife and I went to the movies to see Elvis this last Sunday, and we literally had this debate during commercials during previews right before the movie started. She was just flabbergasted, could not believe that I would, intentionally choose Pepsi over Coke. I told her I like it. It's better. It's just, it's better.
No disrespect. I'm sure your wife is a lovely woman, but sometimes people just lack that fortitude in their mind to fully comprehend what a great soda is. And Pepsi's just better. I can't explain it, but the intellectual people of this world know.
Yeah. And I will say this, my wife, I love her to death. She is the sweetest, greatest person. However, her one flaw, besides picking Coke over Pepsi, she is an Aggie. So that might explain some of that.
That's all you had to say. We could have saved 5 minutes on the Pepsi conversation. All you had to say she was an Aggie, and it makes sense. I got it.
That's it right there. Luckily she's not here, so if she goes back and listens to this, she can kill me later. But you know what? I'm gonna put out a poll here at some point throughout this week. Just Jackson and RC going in on it. Pepsi over Coca-Cola. We'll see what
we're gonna get roasted.
We
roasted.
We absolutely will. But like you said, we're ready for it, man. Bring it on. We want all the smoke.
All of it.
Man. Okay. So yeah, really excited to have you on, RC. Like I said, I know, you do great Twitter Spaces after Tech basketball. I believe you did some of them during football season as well.
Yeah.
Love interacting with you on those and talking through the ups and the downs. I know you've hopped on for all of them. But it's, here we are, man. We're 18 days out from football season. It's almost like it's the same old platitudes. It's just everybody's, reiterating, regurgitating the same. Who's going to start QB? What do you like about this side of the ball, that side of the ball? We've almost talked, at least I know with Ramblin' Raiders, our listeners still, they're like blue in the face right now in their car, just like, like, what are they going to provide for us today? What new content can you give us? And we're going to do just that with a couple of questions that I know I want to pick your brain about, RC, give you a chance to kind of speculate and elaborate on a little bit. But first, man, before we get started, dude, if you want to drop real quick, I usually do this at the end, but I feel like it's a good time, as ever. Drop your Twitter handle, man. Just tell everybody, how you doing, dude, in Dallas? Everything going well?
It is. Yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at RCMB323. Starting the podcast back up with a guy that really doesn't need any introduction in Lyle.
Oh, yeah.
When you're number 2, only behind Michael Crabtree and TDs, it's pretty solid company. But we'll be doing that, and then kind of what you guys are doing on the YouTube side of it. I think that more people need to capitalize on that. I'm happy to hear more people are actually getting on YouTube. So yeah, man, just doing that. In the sports gambling space, still doing that as the full-time gig, and then still covering Texas Tech. We'll be out there, and I guess for the Houston game, to actually watch Texas Tech men's basketball practice, and be out there with my buddy Tobias, getting to watch basketball practice, and then going to the game, and then hopefully having some cool information about maybe what Mark Adams is doing with hopefully a lot better shooting. But we don't need to talk about basketball. That's a little bit ways down the road. So yeah, ready to talk football. 18 days away, and get this Joey McGuire era actually on the field, so we can stop talking about all the hype and see what it's all about.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it sounds like we might need to get you on our new segment called The Rip, man, to talk a little bit of sports gambling. If it's something that's that you're afforded, like able to do. I know with when it comes to sports gambling world, man. Yeah, it's some of that content is safeguarded pretty heavily. But
no, they don't pay me that much, man. It's not like that. Good. Yeah, no. I'm not behind a paywall or anything. Yeah. No, that's for sure. No, not that.
Well, in that case, we'll get you on the Rip, man, to talk with our buddy Joe and go over. He's been on a heater lately with MLB, man. He's been putting out about a 5-game slate a day, and absolutely, I think he's up like 8 to 10 units. So we're hoping he stays hot heading into football season, man. And
solid.
He's the kind of guy he might bet against Texas Tech every game of the year and cover and win, and that's just who he is, man. So fans might not like it, but he doesn't. Unlike me, he doesn't bet with his heart, man. He bets with his head.
Yeah, no, I got ridiculed a couple times last year for betting on Texas Tech to lose, or not lose, but just not cover. And people didn't like it. But, last year was the first year I wasn't like a media member. I didn't have a credential. So I said, okay, like I don't feel bad. Because obviously if you're a media member, like you can't bet. Like there's just ethics involved in it. This year will be again. So it's like, okay, I can't bet, but I can give you a take or two about it.
I love it. Hey, that's all we're looking for, man, is a take or two.
Yep.
That'll be fun, man. I just can't itching, man. I cannot wait to get get football going again, NFL and college. But what we're here to talk about today, we're here to talk about college football, and more specifically Texas Tech. As you just alluded to, starting the Joey McGuire era off, right? Everybody's super excited. One of actually, I was looking back. I think this is, at least in my opinion, unless I'm just blanking on here, I think this is the hardest schedule we've had since maybe 2002, when it was also NC State, Ole Miss, and Ohio State. I mean, with BJ Simmons as our QB, starting off and kind of early on in the Leach era. I can't, that's literally 20 year span. I cannot think since 2002 of another year in between where we had a harder non-con schedule than we do this year. I can't think of one. So
I think that's probably it.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I mean, it's tough. A hard situation to step into for Coach McGuire, but he's done everything right, man. I mean, the fan base is united, is honestly ignited, elated. I mean, they're pumped up, man. I haven't felt this much energy around the program since probably Cliff. When Cliff came in his first year, kind of the prodigal son returns. Everybody was super pumped about that, coming off his year with Manziel over at A&M. And so, I mean, it's been a while. We've been going through it. A lot of, I want to say ups and downs, but really a lot of downs. And so it's exciting. It's exciting times. And I think this is a great segue to our first question, man, as we talk about, Joey McGuire's first year head coach, with such a tough schedule in year one for him. In your opinion, RC, what should Tech fans' expectation levels be headed into the 2022-2023 college football season?
What they did last year would be fantastic. I mean, you think about it in the sense of what Tech did. Obviously, it was, people were making fun of you for firing a coach when you were 5-3 on national television, and he got destroyed by Oklahoma in the process when that happened. But I mean, the end result worked out pretty well for Texas Tech. But I think just expectations. You talked about the schedule a little bit. I mean, you're playing 5 ranked opponents and 7 teams that receive votes in the AP Top 25 preseason poll. Like, you're playing over half of your schedule against teams that got votes or in the top 25. Mm-hmm. And you start out with the easy game, quote unquote, against Murray State. That's you're probably going to be favored in that one by, I would probably say, at least 24.5 in that range. But it wouldn't shock me if you're not favored against Houston. Houston's going to have one of the most underrated defenses in the country. Then you got to go to NC State, who it wouldn't shock me if they won their side of the ACC. It really is going to come down to that Clemson game for them. Mm-hmm. Not to mention, you have Texas the week after that, and let's just say Quinn Ewers is what everybody thinks he is. It's probably pretty good for them. Now, maybe you catch them off guard because it's their first true road game, but the word I've been using is just be realistic about it. And I get it from a fan perspective. I've been telling everybody this too. Drink the Kool-Aid. Drink it. There's no better time to drink the Joey McGuire Kool-Aid and the Texas Tech football Kool-Aid than right now, because there is that excitement. It is justified in terms of what he's done off the field. It is justified in the sense of the dollars going into this program. But be realistic with that on-field expectation in the sense that you have a first-year head coach, a first-year offensive coordinator at the Power 5 level. You don't really know who your quarterback is going to be, even though Joey McGuire does. I don't know if you heard that clip today. They know who the quarterback is, and I think everybody does too, if we're being realistic about it. You don't know what you have at the linebacker position. What do you have depth-wise, right? So I think that's the biggest thing when it comes down to it, is just being realistic. And I think if Texas Tech makes a bowl game this year, and if there's a little bit extra on top of that, take it, but go in with the mindset of this team is probably going to finish between 5-7 and 7-5. And if there's anything more than that, take it. But I think realistically, first-year head coaches, when you look around the country, specifically at the Power 5 level and in their first college job, they don't have a ton of success. But I think that this roster is good enough to where, you're going to beat the Murray States of the world. You're going to beat the Kansases of the world. You're going to compete at home and probably get an upset, maybe 2 if you're lucky. But you're going to compete in a lot of games, and hopefully, those 50-50 games, those one-possession football games that Matt Wells couldn't win, maybe Joey McGuire can with the energy that they've created there. So, again, long-winded answer, but the word I always just keep saying is just be realistic about it, but also drink that Kool-Aid at the same time. Excited. There's no better time to do it. Yeah, exactly. You should be.
Yeah. Well, in case y'all didn't know, man, RC is an expert, when it comes to this kind of analysis. And I say that because you literally just, kind of had this exact same line of thought that I did, so I'm trying to now credit myself, guys. See, I'm also a bit of a,
there's plenty of room on the bus. Yeah. Don't worry about it. There's plenty of room.
A bit of an expert whenever it comes to this kind of stuff. But no, I mean, I was thinking the same thing, RC, and I talked about this with Lane 2 weeks ago. I mean, I could see us landing anywhere, and I would even almost, which is crazy to think, I like the, anywhere from 5 wins to 7 wins, somewhere in between. I'd almost even go anywhere from 4-8 to, 8-4 would be insane. But I kind of like where you're at, where it's, if this team makes a bowl game, anywhere from, 5, 6, 7 wins would be great. 6 or 7, obviously getting you into a bowl game. Fans should be ecstatic. In year one, that would be
absolutely.
And with the schedule you're coming up against, incredible. I was looking earlier. I know the U of H game. They're ranked 24th in the ESPN indicator or whatever has it like pretty close, but Tech slightly as a favorite at 55.7% for the matchup predictor. But
I would probably flip that. I would honestly flip that. I think Houston, I think they came in at 24, right? The AP poll.
Yeah, 24 in the AP poll.
There's no reason they shouldn't be any higher than they should be 18. They should be around that. Yeah. They were the most wow, that seems really low. team on the AP poll for me. That defense that Dana Holgerson has created down there, I would not be shocked if it's a top 10 defense in the country by the end of the season. They are all kinds of legit. And I know what we saw last year with Toon, where he threw 4 picks in week 1. Yeah. It's not going to happen again. It's just not. It's not going to happen again.
Yeah, I mean, he's got, like you said, another year under his belt, veteran QB for him. And I mean, really the thing that gives me confidence, the only reason I'm picking it as a win, besides the fact that I'm drinking the Kool-Aid slightly, is that it's in Lubbock. If it wasn't in Lubbock, guys, I mean, again, this is a take that you know is going to probably upset a few people, but I don't know if I'd have Tech winning this game if it wasn't in Lubbock. The fact that it is,
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Yeah, the fact that it is at the Jones gives me a little bit more confidence with the Joey McGuire era. I think, you know, obviously you come into that game 1-0, right? Fan base is bought in, they're excited, big crowd, and then we'll kind of see what we have. But yeah, no, I mean, you hit it on the head, man. Literally, if you go to a bowl game, consider that a successful first year. You know, you look at the track record of you know, Matt Wells, Tom Herman. Was this Dave Aranda's first year? No, that wasn't. This was his second year.
Second year, yeah. They went one. I think they went like 1-11 the first year.
I was gonna say
there.
Like Matt Rule, Dave Aranda, Sarkeesian, whatever, Tom Herman, all these guys. Year one, typically, especially in this conference, does not Matt Campbell does not go well for a head coach. So besides Cliff Kingsbury, because he always does everything backwards, right? He starts strong, finishes poor.
It also helps with Tommy Tuberville. Everybody doesn't like the guy, but he left a pretty nice cupboard there.
Absolutely. Great roster to walk into. So long story short, I'm with you on that one, man. And I think fans, you know, if you start, let's say you go non-con 2-1 headed into that UT game, I think you're on the right track, and it tells you a lot about this team if they can pick up either a win in Houston or, I mean, if you win on the road in NC State. That's I'll tell you this, in the betting world, nobody's going to have that game pegged, man, because NC State I think is for real.
Oh, they're my pick to win the ACC, their side of the ACC over Clemson. I mean, that week 4 matchup between Clemson and North Carolina State will decide the ACC South. I don't know how they break up their conference, but whatever it is, they're that side of the conference.
Yeah, and Lane had talked about, he's like, every year there seems to be an ACC team that is overrated. And I do agree with him about that, but I don't think it's NC State. I think NC State is justifiable. And if it's who else do they have over there? It's all
Wake's good, but they got their quarterback hurt. He's going to miss like 8 weeks.
Yeah, Wake's the other one, QB injury. So we'll see how it shakes out. But long story short, guys, I think the important thing, and really this is kind of one of my favorite questions that I have on this outline out of the gate, because I'm one of those fans, man. I am one of those Texas Tech fans. Every year growing up, I've been watching Tech since early 2000s as a kid. This part of the summer, I mean, you can't help but be excited at the prospect of a new year, right? Everybody out there, whether it's Washington State, diehard, out of Boise State, whoever, all these, fan bases are sitting there thinking, we can make a bowl. We could win 8, we can win 9 if this happens, if no injuries and all that. And so it's fun to play that game early on and absolutely, buy your tickets, show up to the games, really ring it in the right way for Coach McGuire, because he's done the things necessary as a new head coach that you have to do to get people excited. Buy into it, but I just want Tech, and I know I'm asking the impossible right now. I feel like I'm just talking to a wall. When the inevitable happens, right? You drop a game, maybe you go on a little skid here, as RC just pointed out. I think I looked at it earlier. I need to go double check. Our first, your first 6 games, I think 3 or 4 of them are ranked, or have 4. A very good chance of being ranked. 4, right?
Yeah, 4 up until the bye week. 4 of your first 6. You have I believe it's 4 out of 5 after Murray State, right? Like you play 3 in a row that are ranked, and then you have K-State, who could be ranked by the time you play them, and then Oklahoma State. I might have flipped them, but I mean, you could legitimately, after Murray State, play 5 ranked opponents in a row.
So it's just, let's not get ahead of ourselves, kind of roll with the punches this year, give McGuire time. And it's like anything else, right? Politics, whatever. You try to I guess only focus on the kind of radical faction of fan bases or whatever, or radical faction of whatever it is you're involved in. But just remember, guys, we got to give McGuire time. Let this play out. He's been recruiting well. He's like I said, the energy's right. Recruiting, which is, in my opinion, at a school like Texas Tech, getting those 3 stars is the or 4 stars is the marginal gains that really enhance your program over time, right? To instead of going 5 wins, 4 wins, blah, you're 7, 8, maybe a breakout year, 9 wins kind of thing. Like an Oklahoma State or
once they get to be, juniors and seniors, that's when you expect to have that,
exactly.
8, 9 win. It's the old Northwestern trick.
Yes.
I like to call it, where Northwestern, you can bank on it every 4 years will be 3-9 or 4-8. And then once you see that, 4 years later or 3 years later, they're going to be in that Big Ten title game contention.
Yes.
Every time. Every time.
Yeah. So y'all let it play out. Let's and I hope fans will. Like I said, I've been doing this now long enough to know that's probably not going to be the case. But remember these voices right here. RC, Jackson's voice, channeling, trying to calm you down, tell you to take a deep breath. In fact, go get you one of these. Relax on the couch. Move on to the next weekend, guys. It's going to be okay. But try to look at this from a realistic lens going in to the to this year's college football season. Next question I have for you, RC. What do you think when you look at this team in its entirety, right? Comprehensive, just both sides of the ball, special teams, coaching staff across the board. What do you think the 3 greatest strengths are going into this season?
Yeah, I think the secondary. This is the deepest secondary Tech has had in probably a decade plus. Yep. There's that old saying that coaches have where they want 22 guys on each side of the ball. Tech doesn't have that on defense yet. They probably have about 19 guys you feel, okay, if that guy's on the field, I feel pretty comfortable with him. And probably about 9 of them are in the secondary, if not more. So I feel really confident in the secondary, especially Rashad Williams. I think he's going to be an all Big 12 type player this year. I don't think that's a hot take anymore, but I just want to say I was on the bandwagon last year, everybody. For those watching on YouTube, I got to point at you. I was on the bandwagon early. But no, I think that's a big one. Obviously, the running backs are going to be huge as well. And yes, Zach Kittley is going to run the football here. The reason he didn't run at Houston Baptist and Western Kentucky is because they didn't have this kind of running back room. Yeah. And then I think, when you look at the broader scale of things, and maybe this is just like a cop-out answer, the coaching, I think this is just from a strategic standpoint and what they've done in their careers. I mean, you could argue this is the best coaching staff Texas Tech has had on campus since the Mike Leach era, like in terms of provenness, right? Yeah. Like you think about it, everybody's talking about Zach Kittley, rightfully so. The guy that I thought was the best hire that Joey McGuire had was Tim DeRuyter. Like that's the best hire right there, in my opinion, because you look at what he's done. He's been a head coach at the collegiate level. He's also put countless pros, whether that's at Texas A&M, Oregon, Fresno State. I mean, he has literally coached 5 All-Pros in the NFL. I promise you've heard all of them. Devontae Adams, Von Miller, all of these kind of guys. So I think that was the biggest hire. And then you think about it, you got him on the on the defensive line. You got Hamby on the offensive line. You just keep going. Emmett Jones returns. Just the overall coaching staff is so vastly improved from what we've seen in recent years at Texas Tech. That's going to get you one of those games that you don't expect to get, because you're not going into a game wondering, do I have the best coaching staff in this game? There's going to be games where it's just, no, you don't. But last year with Matt Wells and the year before, it was like, who's the one coach you felt comfortable that Matt Wells was better than in the Big 12? And there wasn't a clear answer other than maybe Neil Brown.
Yeah.
That's it. Like now now this year you're going to go in, and obviously Joe McGuire has to prove things, but as an overall coaching staff and what they've done, you can probably go in and say, hey, like, we're better than Kansas when it comes to, I know this isn't a high bar to set, but you got to prove yourself, obviously. Yeah. But you're better than Kansas when it comes to coaching staff. You're better than West Virginia. You could be better than Kansas State potentially, right? Like if things go right. But you feel a lot more confident in what the coaching staff is going to be able to get out of these guys. And that's something, again, you haven't had in, I mean, over a decade, 7-8 years. I mean, it's
Well,
just
like
the
you
truth
said,
of it.
yeah, and like you said, top to bottom. I love that the way you put that is that, it's like even Matt Wells, last year you go through the head-to-head matchups and you're like, oh, I don't feel good about it. But, besides Sonny Cumbie, then you go look at the rest of your, pieces in there and you're like, from top to bottom, I don't think we have a better coaching staff than what these other staffs have, or what these other programs have assembled. And so it was like McGuire came in and I mean, I'm sure he had some outside help in getting this, configurated, but it was like, like Leonardo da Vinci, man, putting together a masterpiece. The perfect pieces to, like you said, build this really dynamic coaching staff. I think each guy brings such a valuable component in their specific area that they're focused in, and I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm with you. I haven't been this pumped about a coaching staff in a long time. Like you said, got to go prove yourself. But as far as you have the up and coming, absolutely explosive offensive coordinator, the proven and in the criteria that matters, not necessarily, like head coaching record, all that, but like proven defensive coordinator, right? The veteran. You have Coach Finch, who learned under, as much as this pains me to say, one of the greatest defensive minds in college football, in Gary Patterson, right? Like those kind of little intricate details add up to this really big, really big picture that is I think Tech fans should be absolutely excited about. Also, we interviewed Marquise Waters, and his biggest point he brought up was what you just touched on, was depth. He goes, we have so much depth in the secondary, which is a position that Tech has struggled.
There's 9 dudes back there, man. There's 9 dudes. And like, that's like, I don't know exactly when you graduated from Tech, but I always have flashbacks of Justice Nelson against TCU. That's what I remember when I think of the Tech secondary. And that's no disrespect to him. JN is a great dude. Great dude.
Look what you made me do, RC. Look what you made me do. I was front row. I was literally like right there where the dude caught the we were probably like right
when Green caught the tip pass.
Yeah, where he caught it. I was staring right at it and I was like, I've never wanted the Jones to sell alcohol more in that moment. Then I was like, this can't, I mean, we waited in the rain. It was like,
it was a whiteout too. So you got, I guess at that point I was, okay with it to some degree. In my relationship status, obviously different now, but you know what I'm saying.
Dude, I'm having PTSD. Like it was just going to be like the perfect ending to such a long day. Everyone's going to go out, have fun that night, go out to the bars, hang out, do whatever. And that one hurt. But again, no disrespect to Justice Nelson, but
that's what I think of when I think of the Tech secondary, though. Like it was bad. Yeah. Like they know they were bad. Like I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's just the truth. Like they were bad. They were the worst offense or worst defense in college football, other than New Mexico State year. Like they were terrible. And so, just thinking about the guys they have in the secondary, and you got to give credit to Matt Wells and his crew for bringing some of these guys in. Like Joey McGuire is just capitalizing on this. You think about it, Muddy Waters, Reggie Pearson, Rashad Williams, Malik Dunlap. Yeah. There's a bunch of guys that came in here and transferred in here because of Matt Wells and what he was selling. So obviously it's great that Joey McGuire kept them here, but they don't initially get on campus if it isn't for Matt Wells. And now Texas Tech has, again, the deepest secondary they've had in at least a decade. I mean, at least.
In a very long time. And with injuries having plagued Tech secondary, like you said, you might have a couple good starters, five, 6 guys, but then all of a sudden you get 2 dudes get, nicked and are out for a little while. It's just on that side of the ball, it's so fast, it's so aggressive. A lot of the time you lose a guy here and there to injuries throughout the season. That was when Tech really struggled, was dipping into, the reserves, right? Going to the bench and just not having players who were ready to step up in those roles. Really pumped about that too, man. I agree. This is, oddly enough, I'll say, I think there's a lot of like perfect storm components of this team in a year one that actually kind of make it to where like we could go 6-6 or 7-5, and it would.
There's a scenario where they go 8-4.
Yeah,
there's a scenario like if perfect storm happens, like the talent is there where Texas Tech could finish as high as 4th in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Like
It's like,
but that's perfect.
yeah. And I almost feel like there's just this like lightning in a bottle kind of aspect and element to a
Yeah.
lot of, like you said, Matt Wells. I mean, deserves respect. I mean, the guy, after the UT
Struggled
game
as a
last
head
year,
coach.
yeah,
I mean, but
the
it is what
sound
it
bites
is.
we put out, I'm surprised his family didn't like send us like, you know, some like a flaming bag of doo doo, man, after the sound bites we put out after the UT game last year, because I was ready to can him right there and there. But no, you got to give him respect. I'll give Matt Wells credit where it's due. The guys he brought in, he has set up Coach McGuire to have success in year one, and we are thankful for that, I will say.
Definitely in certain areas. Could have been a little bit better in other areas, but overall, you look at the roster. I mean, typically first-year head coaches come into far worse situations.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so I know everybody likes to talk about the positives and the strengths. Now we gotta, and I'm only gonna do one because I know our passionate diehard fan base can only handle one at a time, not three like the strengths. Give me biggest. What do you think the biggest weakness of this team is going to be this year? Just off of a preliminary first look.
I mean, offensive line depth and defensive line depth. It's pretty easy. There's a reason where you're seeing what they're going for in recruiting.
Yeah.
You know, outside of Tyree Wilson, Jalen Hutchins, and Tony Bradford, I have no idea what to expect from anybody on the defensive line. Offensive line, you got a stalwart, hopefully at left tackle, but you got to remember the last time we saw Caleb Rogers at left tackle, he struggled. Now, albeit he was a true freshman, give him a little bit of leeway there, prove that he was a great right tackle, but it's not just as easy as, if you're a great right tackle, you can be a great left tackle. That's just not how it works. There is a transition there. Is Cole Spencer going to have a solid enough knee to hold up? Who's the starting center? Like Wilburn, or is it going to be Briggs? Is Weston Wright the starting right guard, or is it Shanahan? Is Mills, the big kid from Oklahoma State, going to start, or is it Bohannon, the transfer from USC, starting at right tackle? I mean, I just listed off 5 question marks in the trenches right there. So it's by far the depth and the provenness and just the trenches on both sides. By far, that's the biggest question mark. And you can win some games if you figure that out. Like if Josiah Pierre turns into a good pass rusher, Dimitri Moore turns into a good pass rusher, but you could argue another weakness on the defense is who the hell else is going to be on there at the linebacker position other than Kershaw Merriweather. I have no idea. Because I think there's like 4 or 5 guys after him where you could be, if you told me like, hey, he's going to play significant snaps. I think Kosi Eldridge is going to play a lot. But he's also at the star position now, and that's where Muddy is. So Muddy might play like a hybrid safety linebacker role, which he's big enough to do. So I don't know. I know I named 3. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but those are just the weaknesses that pop into my mind right away.
Yeah, no, and it's funny you named off, Tyree Wilson. I guess he's kind of doing the hybrid, right? But then it's Jalen Hutchings and who's our other starter?
Tony Bradford.
Tony Bradford, yeah. So you have, and it's funny on our defensive breakdown that I did with Talking Tech and that we did on our podcast. Those are the 3 guys we talked about. And I didn't talk about anyone else because I don't know anyone else in the D line. I literally do not know who we have behind them. So starters,
and you're not alone in that regard.
And again, it's like starting solid. I'm cool with that. But as we know, watch it time and time again, it's just impossible to, hope for and dream for a season. You always do, but a season without injuries, especially in the trenches, guys get banged up and unfortunately, hurt here and there. And so I don't know. Yeah, you're right. If anybody goes down the D line, who's plugging in, who's going to fill in. And then with our linebackers, that's another thing we touched on, to your point, was besides Kershawn Merriweather, what we don't know what we have other than that in the linebacking position. What's our depth?
And I think that's why they have Muddy at the star position.
Yeah.
Is because he's big enough to play that hybrid linebacker safety role where you feel comfortable with him going down and, shooting into the A gap, shooting into the B gap, laying, his shoulder into somebody, and it's not just going to, ricochet off, for example.
Yeah. He's a big enough guy to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's 6'3", like 225 and runs like a gazelle. I mean, he's a freak. The first time I saw him last year when he transferred in, it literally looked like somebody chiseled him in a Greek, like a Coliseum. It was stupid. Yeah. I mean, I would have my shirt off a lot too if I was him.
Built, I'm trying to remember what my high school coach used to say. Built out of a test tube, man. Just like literally,
dude is wild.
He's a perfect specimen, dude. Yeah.
a freak, like 2% body fat at the most.
Yeah. Hey, man. Those days I'll say are well, they never were.
I was about to
like
say, I never
they
had
never
them, man.
were there for me. But if there was ever a hope of getting there, they're definitely far behind me in the rearview mirror now.
Oh yeah, I'm too old for that now.
I love it, man. Hey, it has its perks, you know. Then all of a sudden you don't feel as guilty, especially when you start settling down, and then you don't feel as bad, you know, having
It's true.
a couple extra cold ones here and there on game days. So there's, for any of our younger listeners, it's okay as you get older. There are perks that come with it. Okay, you don't have to completely be distraught about getting older in age, man. But all good points, RC. I think that those are definitely things that again, fans, be ready for. You know, be ready. Just understand what you're walking into there, and what that's going to look like. You know, as far as lack of depth in certain positions, and when everybody's sitting there upset because Tyler Shuck or Morton or Smith, whoever, is running for their life trying to make plays, and they seem to be getting a lot of pressure. Again, just think back to this episode here. You know, we kind of warned you. It's RC warned you, I should say. It's definitely an area of concern. All right, let's talk about speaking of the offense and kind of looking at the guys who are going to be behind the line trying to make plays, right? And this is kind of a question that I know you. I think like you've been posting videos of Shuck doing different sort of if I remember that on Twitter, doing different packages and looks and everything. So this is actually a great question, tailored for URC. But what kind of offensive sets and packages do you expect us to see from Zach Kittley, who, the reason Texas Tech fans are so excited, led the second-ranked offensive unit in 2021, averaging 44.2 points per game, only behind Ohio State, right? Putting up crazy numbers. Of course, all that was majority in the air, right, with the pass game. What do you think Tech fans can expect to see maybe similar from what Kittley was doing at Western Kentucky? And then what do you expect to be a little bit different as far as his offense looks?
Yeah, they're not going to play empty as much. You got to keep those running backs on the field. So you're going to at least have one running back on there. I think the package they're going to probably use most is 11. You're gonna have to have the running back on there. You're going to have one tight end. And the reason I think you're going to have a tight end on the field is because your offensive line is a question mark. You just need an extra guy out there that can block, whether that's Henry Teeter, who's listed as a tight end, but let's be real, he's the fullback for this team. And then you got two guys in Mason Tharp and Baylor Cupp that are both very good exterior blockers at the tight end position, whether that's, just a simple chip block or whether they actually have to get down and, defend somebody for 3 to 4 seconds. So I think you're going to see a lot of that, but I think the package that's really going to be interesting to see how much they use it, and I think it might be predicated on the offensive line, is 12 personnel. And 12 personnel is with, I know you know this, Jackson, but just for everybody else, 2 tight ends are on the field. And so I'm interested to see how much they use this, because if the offensive line is going good, they'll use 11. That's just what they're going to use. They're going to have a tight end on the field a majority of the play. So I would probably say like anywhere between 75 and 80%. That's probably my guess, right? You will see open, where it's, you got 4 wide receivers out there and then somebody in the backfield. But I think really what it comes down to is how does the offensive line perform? And that will dictate what kind of personnel you see the most. Because I think if the offensive line struggles, I think you could see 13 personnel. I think you could see Teeter, Tharp, and all on the field. I think you really could. And I also think that realistically, though, it's probably going to be a bunch of 11 and 12, and you are going to try and run the football when you do to the left side, assuming that Cole Spencer's knee is all right. Because I think when you look at what Zach Kittley wants to do, he kind of wants to run, when he does run the football, kind of what Sean McVay does out in LA, which is a zone blocking scheme, which is, it's not really a man. You're just, as an offensive lineman, you're just guarding a zone. And
you're
so,
looking for whoever's in your zone.
Yeah. If somebody comes to your zone, hit them. It's that simple, right? And that allows you to open up more gaps. And I think that allows you to have that tight end where they can chip somebody into a zone. And then that allows them to get going down the field a little bit more, which would open another gap potentially for Brooks, Thompson, Valdez, whoever it is. So again, I think tight end's going to be out there a lot, whether that's 11 or 12. But I think the biggest thing in terms of the sets and the packages that Tech fans can be excited about is they're going to use the middle of the field, something that Tech has struggled to do the past couple of years, where it just seems like they could not throw the ball down the seam at all. I think that's going to change this year with Tharp, Cup, and not just them. Price. You got big body receivers, whether that's Loic Fungee, who hopefully can stay healthy, JJ Sparkman, Cleveland. When you got 5 wide receivers, 6'4" or taller on your roster, you better be able to throw the ball in the middle of the field, and also on the outside for a jump ball situation, but mainly in the middle of the field where they can use their big frame to box them out. So I think that those are going to be the 2 packages they use most is 11 and 12. But I think it really is predicated on the offensive line and how well they perform early on. And I think the big test is Murray State, you'll be fine. But the most interesting aspect will be that first and second drive against Houston and how often the Cougars get pressure on whoever the starting quarterback is, and then how Zach Kittley adjusts with the tight ends to come in and help on the offensive line. Or maybe you can open it up more because there's no pressure at all.
Yeah. Love it, man. I think that's great insight that our listeners will appreciate and enjoy. And I will say, of all years, kind of your point, RC, where, you and Tech, has had offensive line struggles in the past. Not saying that we're going to this year, but that it's definitely a concern, right? Having to go to the 11 and 12 personnel. The one positive is that, I don't think we've ever had a better staple of or at least I'll say in recent years of tight ends, right? This is like we got some really, really exciting tight end prospects this year that can hopefully bang and help you out and prove themselves not only as big targets downfield, but can, stop some pressure from getting to the QB as well. So great answer there, man. And I know it's going to be, like you said, really interesting to see when U of H rolls around, those first couple drives. I think that's going to be a pretty good indicator against, as you pointed out, an underrated and very talented Houston defense. That's going to be a good indicator of, hey guys, we could be seeing a lot of this throughout the course of the season.
Absolutely.
This one, another question I kind of had was, everyone likes to talk about sleepers, and that's what these kind of our last 2 questions before we get to the money round, my favorite round here at the end. But as far as personnel goes, man, give us 2 or 3 kind of sleepers on this roster that fans won't maybe necessarily know the name, or maybe just have heard a little bit about them, but that could have breakout years.
Yeah, I think, we talked about the D-line a little bit, and how there's really only 3 guys on there that really stand out. I think a guy that's going to be very interesting to see how they use him, because he is a super senior, a transfer in, is Vital Scott. I think he's going to be really pivotal in the middle of that defensive line. He's not going to get a lot of stats, but the thing that he's going to do is maybe force the offense to double team him just because he's so big bodied. He's 6'1", he's low to the ground. They list him at 285. Okay. Yeah. Maybe.
Secret weapon there.
Maybe.
Scouting report.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what he's going to do, but I think he's one of those guys where he can just go in there and muck it up. Right. And that's something you need next to a guy that's Tyree Wilson, who's just trying to get to the quarterback, or a Josiah Pierre who's trying to get to the quarterback. So that's a guy to watch. And then on the offense, you talk about the receivers and everything like that. You hear about Loic Fungee and all that. And I feel like that's the easy answer. But the guy that I'm interested to see how they use him, because technically he's a walk-on, is Jordan Brown from DeSoto High School. But he transferred in from SMU. He's been making waves. So people that have been at spring practice that I've talked to, they said you could argue he's the best wide receiver they've had in camp. Like, walk-on status. Yeah. So, I'm like, okay. And you can see it in some of the highlights Tech posts. He's making plays. Like, you see the dreads, he's playing out there. He had a good spring game too. What is his role on this team? I'm not sure. But I think he's interesting in the sense that, if I had to guess what his role is when it comes out to it, is he's the backup to Miles Price. And he's that guy that's going to play in that slot and intermediate type wide receiver role, where as soon as he catches the ball, you almost expect him to miss, like make a guy miss. He's slippery. That's what he is. And he's not afraid to go in and make those highly contested catch across the middle where some guy might lay the wood on him. But he's going to hold on to the football. He's a tough dude. So Jordan Brown and then Vital Scott are the 2 guys I'm, looking at the most. But if you want me to take the cop-out answer in terms of like the one that people know, it's got to be Trey Cleveland. I think Trey Cleveland asserts himself as this might be a hot take. I think at the end of the year, we might be talking about Trey Cleveland as the best wide receiver on this football team.
That's awesome. No, I
Over
love
Miles
it. And,
Price.
yeah, that's a good take. And I'll be here for you. If it turns out to be true, I'll go back and I'll pull the clip, man, and we'll blow it up and say RC called it all along. I love a guy that's slippery, and that he wasn't on my radar. What you said, Brown?
Jordan Brown. Yep.
Jordan Brown. Hey, that's good to know, man. I always say, Lane and I talk about guys that can get yak, man, yards after catch. Those so valuable. I mean, at all levels, but you really see it in college just because in the NFL, it's so hard to, being slippery in the NFL is a completely different terminology than being slippery, right?
Oh, yeah.
In college, but in college, when you get those guys that can get yak, man, it makes, Jakeem Grant is a great example. It makes all the difference in the world. Just felt like anytime the ball's in his hands, he could go the distance, man, because guys just can't get it. They can't get a mid on him, dude. Like he's tough to tackle.
The guy he kind of reminds me of, like in the limited tape I've seen, and I think he's probably, we were talking about great value soda earlier, so I'm going to use that analogy. He's kind of like a great value version of Jonathan Giles. That's kind of who he reminds me of. Like he's a little slower. He's a little shorter. He's not as big. His hands probably aren't as good, but that's the kind of receiver he is in terms of like what he's trying to do. And I'll say this, I would be absolutely shocked if he's a walk-on next season. I would be shocked.
I was going to say, if you say you give me the value brand version of Giles as a walk-on, I'll take that every day of the week, man.
Yeah, and don't think that he's going to put up like half of Giles' stats. I don't think he'll do that. Like I think, in a realistic world, not trying to overshoot him or anything, it wouldn't shock me if Brown had, and this isn't going to sound like a lot to some people, 300, 350 yards receiving. Like that wouldn't shock me. Like,
which is not a bad year, though.
Yeah, no, I think but I think you can also make critical catches for you. Like, well, you'll remember it like on a third down and you have to have it. I think he's a guy that can get you that.
Love that, man. Great answers there. Let's talk about just real quick, because we touched on it last week, and I think it's a fun little question here to end kind of our main content for tonight. But sleeper in the Big 12, man. I threw Kansas State out there last week.
You stole it right out of my mouth, man.
See, I'm telling you, man, we're on the same page.
I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just like a sucker for Adrian Martinez, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it's Kansas State.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, they just seem like that team that, Kleiman and that class, the new coaches that came in, Miles, Wells, and Brown. He's clearly been the best hire of those four guys. Has done a lot in his first 3 years. They've I don't think they've missed a bowl game, right, since he got there.
Nope.
Yeah, won 8 games last year. Brought in the right pieces they needed out of the portal to, supplement what they were going to be missing from last year's team. And I'm with you, man. Anytime you pull a guy like Martinez, who's been around, feels like he's been around since like we were in like grade school, man. The dude
I swear he graduated
forever.
I swear he graduated high school the same year as me, and my 10-year class reunion was 2 weekends ago. I swear. I can't prove it, but I swear I graduated with that guy.
I made a joke last week that he must have been like Mormon and like went on his mission trip for 2 years and like came back and got an extension and then got like COVID. The dude
turned into Taysom Hill and had like 7 medicals.
There's something going on here. It feels like he's been there forever. There's something to be said about that veteran presence and Kleiman's done well. They also have one of the biggest threats in Deuce Vaughn, right? In the running back position, who can catch it out of the backfield as well and be a receiver threat for you. So I love it, man. That's we're 2 for 2 tonight, dude. I'm telling you, that's why I always tell everybody, follow RC. He's got the best takes. He's the smartest man in the game. And it's just
because we have the same ones. Yeah, I get it.
That's right. Yeah. We just think we're on the same page all the time, man. Think alike. So anyways, love that. Okay, well, we're going to get to my favorite part of, interviews that we do. And we do this with the Texas Tech athletes that we bring on, right? We've done it with, had whether it's Lawrence Odiasi or Ronald Ross, whoever come on. And actually, I think we hadn't implemented this whenever we interviewed Ronald Ross. But anyways, the money round, a lot of fun. Started as a lightning round. Then we realized that the answers do not go quick because it's so fun to speculate on those days back in the 806 and the nostalgia factor sets in. So much fun. But it's always good to, especially for our listeners who maybe are younger, who we've had people DM us that are either like like applying to colleges that are still in high school, or for our older listeners that weren't around kind of in recent maybe 2000s or even 2010 to now, where you have all these new bars and new places to hang out.
Sure, yeah.
All this stuff. So it really hits all different age demographics here, but it just gives you that nostalgia, man. I know I'm in Houston, RC's in Dallas. We were both complaining about the heat here before the podcast
I miss
started.
that dry heat, man. I miss it.
Oh, I miss it more than ever, dude. I'll tell you that is one thing about being up there in Lubbock, man, is the dry heat is a lot nicer than down here in more central Texas to the coastal line of Texas. But anyways, let's just go back and kind of relive those glory days. So first question in the money round: favorite when you were at Texas Tech, RC, favorite spot that you liked hanging out on campus?
Yeah, KTXT, man.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so like I was a sports director there, and so it's it was nice getting paid to be there too. So that was kind of cool. But met my girlfriend there, met some of my good friends there. So honestly, it was just one of those fun places where it was like, yeah, it was my job, but also I would just spend hours there where I wasn't getting paid, just hanging out with some of my friends and just doing some of the dumbest things I've done in college, like playing cornhole in the middle of the hallway at IMCOM,
Yeah, I love it.
Racing around IMCOM, all that kind of stuff, playing hide and go seek in IMCOM. Plus it was free to do those things. So that was nice. But yeah, definitely KTXT, man. And I would highly advise, you talked about people DMing you. I would highly advise everybody to get involved with that if they want to, potentially be in sports media, just
broadcasting,
talk uselessly in front of a microphone like I've done for a living, like that kind of stuff, like if you want to do it, but also just to meet some cool people. So definitely KTXT for sure.
Yeah, there must be a parallel there with poli-sci majors and just being able to talk on a mic, about a bunch of like frivolous, just nonsensical, unimportant topics, and just being able to ramble about it. Because for some reason I have that knack as well, and I'm like, where did this come from, man? I mean, it's just politics in general. Everyone's full of shit, right? And you're just able to get on the mic and talk about it. But no, that's a good point. And yeah, we've had, I guess, more so on Instagram, but people who are either some prospects even kind of trying to get noticed or anything like that, but just people going to Tech that are still looking for a major. And I'll say I had so many classes and a lot of fun in mass comm building and being over there, man. I think there's Tech, has a really good program that where
they're
you
definitely
can
building one. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, where it's like where you're learning a lot of valuable stuff, but where you can also have fun, right? Yeah, like during your downtime. So no, man, I'm all for a team just talking, random stuff on mics, man. I'm basically that. I think you could sum the Ramble On Raiders podcast up just in that amount of words right there.
Dude, that's literally what I get paid to do. It's amazing. It's amazing.
I love it. Okay, favorite place to chill off campus.
Oh man, that's a trick question.
Tough. Yeah, this one's tough.
Yeah,
it's hard to narrow it down. I know.
So my go-to answer would probably be a bar. And you know what it is.
Pool and bar.
Yeah, I would probably say Two Docks.
Yeah.
Two Docks is probably my favorite place. It helped when I got free beer there. So got free beer there a lot, and the live music and the food trucks and stuff. A lot of my friends like to hang out there. The First Friday Art Trail type stuff, it was over there. I wasn't into the First Friday Art Trail scene too much, but it was just cool to be over there at Two Docks. So I'd probably say Two Docks, even though the easy and probably correct answer is Chimmy's. I spent way too much money at Chimmy's my first 2 years at Texas Tech.
I'll tell you what, it's just hard to miss on Broadway. It really is, man. I mean, anytime I go out, it's like
unless it's Mesquite's.
Fun. I was gonna say Mesquite's. Mesquite's was always funny because I'd go there for power hour where you could like walk over on a Thursday or Friday from class, and it was like, of course, it's from like 3:30 to 5. So like most people aren't rolling in quite yet. But then the minute you get after 5, it's like, okay, now I'm trickling out and we're going and getting in line at Crickets. Or I'll tell you what, man, Bar PM, and it's changed because I used to be like when I was at Tech, you went to Bar PM like at the end of the night, right? Like you're finishing it, shut it down.
I avoided Bar PM at every cost of life.
Oh, dude, it's like
I was that guy.
never smoked a cigarette. It's like, well, guess what? Now you're smoking a pack at
You
Bar
are a
PM.
cigarette.
Yeah,
you are
you
now
are
a cigarette when you go into Bar PM. You're not gonna smell it. You become one.
You become
Like-
one. And so I go visit Lane 2 years after I graduated. It's 2018, and like his buddies are like, all right, I guess we're gonna start at Bar PM, and I'm like, whoa, that's
Can't trust those guys.
You
No, you can't
guys-
trust those guys. No,
It turns out, like, you know, my brother just hangs out with a bunch of degenerates, and but
makes sense. That's fair.
yeah, that's why we call him the hot take specialist for a reason, man. I mean, you know, the dude just lives in a constant, perpetual state of hot takes. I feel like, you know,
That was
I think
literally me my first 2 years at Chimmy's. Like I
Yeah.
was just reckless. Like I think that was the most like finance, like strapped for cash part of my life, because I was just so irresponsible.
Yeah.
Like I would legitimately go to Chimmy's, I shit you not, 5 days a week.
Oh, it's
And
dude,
I would spend like $45 every day. I don't know how I paid rent.
yeah.
Like I really don't. Like I think about it, like, and it's funny, my girlfriend, she's a little younger than me, so we never got to go to Chimmy's at the same time, kind of deal. And she's like, you never want to go to Chimmy's? I was like, because if I go in there, I know how much money I'm spending, and I am more financially responsible now. Like
You're like, I know
don't
the
wanna
kind of
do it.
RC. Yeah, I know the RC that's going to come out of there, and like it just.
Well, that RC is fine. That
Yeah.
RC is fine. But the thing is, the RC the next day is going to be pissed at that RC
for spending that amount
because
of
he
money.
spent that much money. Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
No, it's tricky, man. And in Lubbock, like you said, it's tough because, you know, you'll be sitting there ready to do something productive, and you're like, you know what, I'm actually gonna go against the grain here and do some studying or this, and then you'll just get that text Tuesday 7:30. Hey, we want to go to Chimmy's for a drink, you know.
Dude,
Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday. It doesn't
I was
matter.
that friend. I was
people are
that friend
always down,
texting
man.
my friend.
Yeah.
I was that guy. Yeah.
And of course,
Yeah,
all it took was one, and it was like, yep, I'm heading out. Call
That's all
the
you
Uber
do.
right now. Let's go.
In the group chat, all you had to do was get one person in the group chat there, and you knew at least 4 more were coming. That's all you had to do.
That's so true, man. I love it. But yeah, and Two Docs, I'll say, are they relatively, and this, I'm about to age myself right here, but are they, I graduated in the summer of 2016. Are they like relatively new? Or have they been around?
Yeah, relatively. I think that they I want to say 2017, 2018.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think they have the best beer in Lubbock. I mean, it's phenomenal.
Everyone that we interact with is always hype and praise. Unfortunately, I've never gotten to go, but it's like, you know, a bucket list place to visit now in Lubbock, because and I'm going to try to go up there for a game this year, but everybody raves about how awesome Two Docs is.
Yeah, Chilton Goza, highly recommend. That's the
Ooh.
beer of choice there. Chilton Goza, super good.
Love the sound of that. Okay, how about this one? Favorite place to eat in the
Simple.
806,
Dirk's chicken.
Okay. Love it.
Quick and easy.
And that's a good one, and we have not had that answer before.
I mean, it's gas. It's straight gas.
Yeah.
For those that haven't gone there, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
You obviously clearly don't love yourself. Go to Dirk's. Anything on the menu, I'm not putting you in a box.
Yeah.
Anything on there, just make sure you get it Nashville hot.
It's
all I gotta
all
say.
it all
Gas.
plays, man.
Gas. You could eat it off the floor and it'd be good.
Nothing but gas. I love that. No, I mean, I always love getting new answers to these, because we ask this, you know, typically around the same ones every time, and you always get like the you know, like Rosa's, Orlando's. I don't know. You get like your kind of like general answers that everybody gives. I have to go back and look at some of the other ones, but there was another one that actually Marquise Waters was saying, a new wing spot. Oh, damn it, I'm not gonna remember the name of that.
They
like
closed
Fire?
my favorite wing spot out there, Hub City Wings. They closed it because of the pandemic. I think they went bankrupt. I think, or just didn't have enough money because of the pandemic. But yeah, I heard there was a wing spot opening up
like
there.
360 pizza and wings or something. He was saying the wings there.
Okay, I haven't heard that one.
But anyways, that's a good one, because I'm a huge like fried chicken fan myself. I love it. And so Dirk's, I mean, dude, it's an all-timer, no doubt. Straight hitter, you can't go wrong.
The chicken tenders, I know I sound like a child saying this. The chicken tenders are the best chicken tenders I've ever had in my life.
Well, and people can say what they want. Chicken tenders are timeless, dude. A kid, 6 years old, doesn't matter. Like, chicken tenders are great. They're just amazing. They're a timeless classic.
Factual.
Dirks. That's
Almost
hey,
like Pepsi. You know what I mean?
hey, for everyone out there, actually, my wife just got home a little while ago. I'm about to get her up here and be like, hey, it's time we had this talk. Like, Pepsi is greater than sign Coke, because I absolutely love it, man.
Just go
It is
buy
the
like
best.
a 24 pack and leave it in the fridge and don't say a word.
Just let it drop a little subtle hint there that, hey, we're a Pepsi household.
We've made this change.
This is it, and there's a reason I didn't disclose it prior to the wedding. She might have walked away. She might not have got up there at that altar, but now here we are.
I mean, she's an Aggie. You like Pepsi. They balance each other out, I guess.
It all comes around, it all balances out in the end, I said. Okay, go-to music, man. If you're just like, chilling or stressed out, and you need like a good playlist to kind of decompress, what's your go-to? It can be a song or just, genre, sort of whatever you like listening to.
I have this playlist on Spotify that is literally called RC's Random Playlist. Okay. I'm just going to read some of the songs off of here. Heads Carolina, Tails California. Something Like That by Tim McGraw. And then we go all the way down to Lil Baby. Yeah. All in one playlist. And they're back to back. So I'll literally go Heads Carolina, Tails California. For those that don't know, that's 90s country. Yeah. And then I'll literally listen to Freestyle by Lil Baby, the very next song.
So that's just me. A jack of all trades.
Yeah, and then I'll play like Shakira, Hips Don't Lie after that, Also, hashtag free Shakira. She didn't do it knowingly, but she did. It's tax evasion, but it's whatever.
But look, like, I mean, it's just, yeah.
We know like, the hips aren't going to lie in prison. Why would they lie in court? You know what I'm saying? Why would she lie in court? I'm just saying. But yeah, that's my music taste. Just very
I'll say, RC, I don't know if you've thought about a career in law, but like, dude, go be her lawyer, man. She needs like representation like this.
Yeah, I did. And that's actually why I went to Texas Tech. I was going for sports law. I wanted to become a lawyer. And then 2 years in, I was like, hell no, I'm not going to do 6 more years of this. Wow, and that's when I changed to sports management and got a degree in PR as well.
You and I have very similar paths, man. That is, I was doing it for just like, getting into politics and kind of doing law school through that vector. But anyways, yeah, man, that is, I mean, I'm sitting here trying to think of a counter argument, man, a rebuttal for that. And I can't. Like, you're right. Hips don't lie. Why would they lie in court, dude?
Yeah, I don't understand it. Maybe it's Colombia and I just don't understand the language. Maybe there's a barrier there.
Something going on. I have a feeling that in the next 3 questions, I have a feeling we already know your answer to that one now. Maybe we'll see. But
she's one of many.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good answer. Where was I? Okay, movies, man. What favorite movie? And you know what? This is such a hard question. I'll give you 3 or 2, whatever.
Can I change it to TV show?
Yeah.
I don't really watch movies, so I'm that kind of guy. I don't have the attention span for it. Stranger Things has got to be on there. Absolutely love it.
My man.
Hot take, New Girl. Gotta have New Girl on there. Absolutely love it. And then this is where it gets interesting because I wanna say Seinfeld. But I also want to have something classic, a little. Man. Yeah. I think that's probably what I would go. Stranger Things, New Girl, and Seinfeld.
So Nick Thompson, R.I.P. He didn't actually die, but he's like his podcast career is dying, right? Like he's done with Ramble On Raiders. But no, man, our brother Nick, he loves New Girl. So I've never seen it. He
respect level for Nick was right here. It's now here.
Yeah. He's told me, and I'm one of those guys. I'm so bad about like when I dedicate myself to a show, I can't do anything half-assed. Like I'm gonna binge it hardcore.
Perfect binge show. Perfect binge show.
I have to like really be, have the stamina and capacity, like mentally, time-wise, the capacity to be able to do that. I've been pretty close just because of Nick to getting started. And my wife's always telling me like, dude, you got to watch it. It's really good. But yeah, I just want to give Nick a shout out. He's a big advocate of New Girl.
I was about to say, you should watch it with your wife. There you go. I have a bedtime show. It sounds very kiddish, but I always watch like one show before bed until I'm done with the series. Right. So like, yeah, I'll go for start to finish New Girl, then Seinfeld, and then another show. And then we just start the rotation over again. And we just started New Girl over again because it's just awesome.
Man, I'm going to check that out. I will say my wife and I actually yesterday just started Ozark Ozark.
I love
I'm,
this might be hot takey.
I'm only
Like I
3 F's
love
in. I'm only 3 F's in.
okay, I'll just say this. I love the first 2 seasons, but after that it kind of just and I know I'm in the minority when I say it. I think it kind of got bad. But I know I'm also in the minority and not really my favorite kind of show, but I thought the first 2 seasons were phenomenal.
No, I hate that. And I feel like a lot of shows, I haven't seen it yet, but I've kind of heard, and this could be a hot take again. I can't speak from experience, but I've heard Yellowstone kind of tails off.
I haven't seen it either.
Bit. Yeah,
but
people say the same thing. They're like, it sort of tails off at the end. So I guess it's hard, man, to keep up that consistency sometimes.
Well, at least you know this, like going in, if you're ever producing a show, you can never have a worse ending to a show than How I Met Your Mother. So there's that.
Oh my dude, and you know what? And I loved How I Met Your Mother. And Nick,
it was my favorite show of all time, and then they ruined it. I can't watch it anymore.
I wish Nick would have been on this app so bad, man, because me and him in college, even like I've seen How I Met Your Mother through, I think 3 times. Dude, ending though. I mean, what are we doing, man?
It ruined the whole thing for me.
What are we doing? Like
I literally see it on the TV and I'm like, all right, instant change the channel. Instant. Because I know what happens at the end. It's stupid.
Well, it's like the whole arch of Ted Mosby is we're trying to get away from Robin Scherbatsky, right? Like we love her, we hate her, we love her, we hate her. And then you meet the mother and we're just gonna spin it right back to she died, sad. And by the way,
the stupid horn, man. What are we doing?
Don't get me started, man.
Every time I see that blue horn, I literally want to shoot my television. It's stupid.
I should have yelled out spoiler alerts, but yeah. So now
they had a decade. It's been a decade, man. That's on them if they haven't seen it.
No, you're so right, man. Bring back the stupid ass blue horn and just the fact he went back to Scherbatsky. I'm like, there's sometimes you got to know when to quit, man. You got to know when to call it. And you're right. Killed
unbelievable. Me. They screwed up just a great show.
And I've seen a lot of bad endings to shows, and that one, it's up there with like Dexter. I mean, there's a lot of them, man. They screwed up, in my opinion. How about this, man? Hobbies. What do you, when you're not laying down heaters on the mic, giving us great sports betting advice, giving us great insight to Texas Tech and college athletics as a whole, what do you like to do, man?
I love fantasy sports. Big fantasy sports guy. And also just like chilling with the dogs, my girlfriend, stuff like that, watching television, that kind of deal. Just really relaxing.
The guy dogs and the dogs, like both, man. Chilling with the dogs and with the dogs.
That's it. Yeah. So like, I think I'm probably the most boring person outside of like sports you could ever meat. It's almost my girlfriend has to like force me to do things. I just don't want to leave the house.
It's like those memes of the girls where they're like, oh, like it's like like laying in bed and it's like, oh, I wonder like who he's thinking about. And it's like
I'm thinking about a trade to get a RB2 in my fantasy football league. That's what I'm thinking about. And here's the thing. I was literally thinking about that last night. We haven't even drafted yet, Jackson. And I was thinking about what RB2 am I going to trade for after the draft?
I love it, dude.
It's stupid. I hate myself. Like I literally look myself in the mirror sometimes and like, dude, find at least one more hobby. And I can't do it. I can't.
Man, no.
And it's stupid. I hate myself for it.
You're a true craftsman, and call me crazy, but that's what makes fantasy sports. And I love, like, my big thing, I love sports gambling. Like I love going to I just found out actually for my birthday, I did not know LaBerge in Lake Charles has the Barstool Sportsbook.
Yeah.
And it's badass.
No, Louisiana, I know, I figured out because I obviously work in it. We got numbers, my job did. 90% of the money that Louisiana's taking in for sports betting comes from Texans.
Oh my God, dude! The sports book they have at LaBerge, and then I saw that the Golden Nugget DraftKings is their sports book is supposed to be ready. I think in spring of 2023, like next spring.
Yeah, they just gotta get the licensing for it and everything.
Yeah, so dude, you get those two sports books going. Anyways, I love like sports gambling, but call me crazy, and again, I'll go to bat for you, dude. With any of the our female audience out there that are like, got to get these guys away from the sports. it's what makes fantasy sports so great though. It really does, man. I mean, I'm in a group text where we're always laying down bets, talking about, hey man, what'd you hit in the Premier League soccer? What'd you do here? What'd you do that? And it feeds into fantasy. Like, I mean, fantasy football obviously is the biggest, but like other fantasy sports, man. I mean, it's hard to like, really convey that to somebody, but it's what makes it special.
This is how big of a nerd I am. My favorite fantasy sport is not football. It's baseball. Do you know how dedicated you have to be to care about fantasy baseball? It is 180-day-a-year job. And that's not even including the prep work. I hate myself sometimes. Like,
I know, dude. I love
literally,
it. It's what makes it great.
Every day I'm over here listening to like multiple sports fantasy podcasts. Multiple. Like, it's the first thing I listen to in the morning. And then I have to finish 3, or else in my head, I'm like, I'm jinxing myself and my team isn't going to perform. Like, what kind of crap is that? Like, it's stupid. Dude, it's dumb, but it's how I think. I don't understand.
People can say what they want in the book, in Jackson's book, Hall of Fame, like say, remember the Titans, like in my book, Hall of Fame. I mean, dude, that is that's A-list to me, man. I think that like it's a life well lived, time well spent. I think that kind of stuff is awesome, man. I love it.
I'm going for that 7th fantasy championship. Put it on the gravestone.
Let's go, dude. And I'm telling you, man, I'm not even a huge fantasy guy. I'm really not. But like, I do love. I mean, I've I love like March Madness and doing the tournaments, and then like fantasy. I've done fantasy football here and there, but my thing is I'm so lazy. Sometimes it's hard for me to like really dedicate to like getting, like always change my lineups and know what's on.
I'll set my lineup on a Tuesday.
But I love it.
I'm the guy that will literally go in the fantasy app and look at my lineup for 15 minutes and not change a thing. Yeah. Like, I'll look like, I bet I could trade him for an RB2. But do I want to trade him for an RB2? And I'm doing this all meanwhile, I probably should be paying attention to my girlfriend at dinner. It's stupid. It's stupid. But hey, I'm trying to change a little bit. I'm trying to tone it down a little bit, but it takes time.
No, it takes time. I'm telling you, I'm absolutely here to like show some love and support and respect, man, for the fantasy hustle, man. I think it's
and it's nice to say too, like it's part of my job almost in a way. Like I can use that as an excuse, even though it's probably a bad excuse. It's whatever.
Hey, no, dude, I'm here for it. Okay, here's the one I was alluding to earlier. How about celebrity crush, man? You said you had a few. You can name off a few if you want.
Yeah. Oh man, Hillary Duff was the first one.
Dude, mad respect.
Yeah, that was the
Lizzie
first
McGuire.
one.
What up?
Yeah, absolutely. Vanessa Hudgens, High School Musical, was on there as well. I was kind of an in-between Disney and Nick guy, so I did both. I wasn't just strictly one or the other. Shakira was definitely on there. I think the first like person I realized like I had a crush on at like legitimately was Hillary Duff though. Like that was the first one, like the one where it's like if you had to like, hey, pick one, Hillary Duff.
Dude, I just watched the other night. We were just making some dinner and put on a movie in the background, but Cheaper by the Dozen. I mean, Hillary
still
Duff
holds.
in that still holds, man. Still holds. Her acting performance. I mean, just a beautiful individual. And the thing I like about Duff too, I think it adds a little bit to, as a young boy, that teen angst, like having a crush on her. She ended up right. I feel like that's a good judgment call on your part, because out of all the Disney stars that either go crazy or like you look at like the Lindsay Lohans that like have a freak out in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hillary Duff actually has like the most normal life and like ended up in a relatively normal, like a normal career path and like future for herself.
Have you seen her newest show?
Well,
How I Met Your Father?
I watched one episode. I couldn't do it.
Oh, I'm into it. I don't know why. Maybe it's a guilty pleasure show. It's like not How I Met Your Mother, but Big Brother for me. I don't know if you watch Big Brother, but Big Brother is legitimately. I want to be on Big Brother.
So Nick's the one. He actually, I watched one ep and then I kind of was getting distracted. And Nick, because he's like the OG How I Met Your Mother fanatic, and I was like, is it worth it? And he watched, I think, is there like 2 or 3 seasons maybe? I don't know. He got through.
I think 2. Yeah.
too. I think he got through the first season, and then I don't know what set him off. He just ended up not liking it. And
It's not very good.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
but
not very
Hillary
good.
Duff is a different.
Yeah, it's one of those shows where it's like, why the hell am I watching this? And then by the time you realize you said that, you're already 5 episodes over with, and you're like, what? Where did the past 2 hours go? Like, what just happened?
Where am I? Like, what am I doing?
Exactly. Yeah. And I
it.
couldn't tell you anything that happened in the show. I couldn't, but I watched it. And it's that kind of stuff.
Well,
yeah.
Hey, bringing Hillary Duff back's a pro move, because she was, I think, a heartthrob for a lot of young teens during the Lizzie McGuire era on Disney Channel.
Yeah.
Last but not least, man, before we wrap this thing up, favorite, and we joked earlier how Texas Tech fans, you try to kind of level them out a little bit with the unrealistic expectations, and I also think Tech fans are just so passionate. I want to believe a lot of the times they're kind of kidding. They're not truly upset whenever, either if it's in, your medium and your space that you provide content, or when we do it through Rambling, when we try to kind of level set and get expectations right. When they come at you, I think sometimes it's more of in a kidding nature, and there's things that are lost in translation through social media and all that. But all jokes aside, we love Texas Tech for their passionate fan base, Red Raider Nation, passionate. They're great. To end it on a high note, RC, for you, man, what is your favorite thing about being a Red Raider, Texas Tech fan, and about the culture around Red Raider Nation, man? What's your, just end it on good vibes, positive vibes only, right? We're going to go out on a high note. Favorite thing about Red Raider Nation and being a part of it?
The hospitality and the passion, man. I mean, like I'll be honest, when I wasn't planning on going to Texas Tech. I didn't really start paying attention to Texas Tech until 2013 when I got accepted. And I remember the first time out there, like I just kind of fell in love with it. It was the Halloween game. It was a blackout. Oklahoma State was in town and Tech got destroyed. But I just remember like the hospitality aspect of it. And I was like, this kind of feels like home. And then, went out there, and when some of my buddies were transferring because, Lubbock is no fun or anything like that, I was like just falling in love with the people out there in West Texas and everything. And yeah, sure, there's some bad apples, but I think that's, really anywhere. But I think the biggest thing about Texas Tech and the fan base is first and foremost the love that they show. Like if you're one of them, you're not just one of them, for that time being. You're one of them like forever.
You're a lifer, yeah.
Yeah, if you show love, or if they show love to you and you reciprocate it, you're good forever. And so I think that's the biggest thing for me, just in terms of just Red Raider Nation and as a whole, is just there's so much positivity and the passion. Yeah, you can go a little bit, but you think about it. What is fans short for? Fanatic. You're supposed to be passionate. You're supposed to go over the edge a little bit. That's all right, as long as you're, not a douche about it, I guess is probably the way that I would say it. Like if you're kind about it and you're not, calling people out and just making things personal, I'm all for it. So that's probably the biggest thing, is just like the love they show, the hospitality, and just the overall passion that Red Raider Nation has.
It's a great answer, man. And yeah, I'm with you on it's not for everybody, people transferring out and everything, but it also is, it is what you make of it, right? Like whatever you put into it, like what you put into it, what you get out. And you meet people, could be at a random bar, could be all over the state, could be even all over the country, right? But
dude, I literally walk down the streets at downtown, dude, and like I have a Texas Tech hat. It's like the brand now. My girlfriend and
people
I
are yelling. Yeah,
like I have people recognize me. Like it's weird. Like
awesome.
and my girlfriend will say like his head is growing 2 sizes or whatnot. It's like, no, it's just weird. But it's like also that's super cool, first and foremost, that they're willing to come up to you just because you're wearing that hat. And I
it's
think
like what you expect from Tech fans, right? Because they're still bought in. Yeah,
it's kind of weird. Like when I'm driving down the highway and I see somebody with the Texas Tech decal on the back, when I pass them, I just give them like a guns up. Even if they don't see me, I just do it. I don't know why. It's weird. But like, yeah, man, it's just the passion of it. It's just the love and everything like that. And just the kind-heartedness that really the fan base has. Obviously you can be passionate and go over the edge a little bit too far, but that's part of being a fan sometimes. But as long as you realize like, okay, hey, I should probably tone it back. And a lot of them do. we're all good, man. Just the passion aspect and the love is just not even from Texas Tech, just West Texas in general. I think is probably the biggest thing I was not expecting now in the medium that I have, and also just being out there in general. I didn't know what to expect, but I mean they definitely supplanted a place in this city boy's heart. There's no doubt about it.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, RC, thanks for joining me. I should say on the Ramble On Raiders podcast, guys. This has been a lot of fun. I will say, moving forward, we talked football. We've pretty much given you everything that, and RC definitely brought a new element of that tonight. Honestly, talking about players that we hadn't discussed yet, kind of asking a couple different, different questions that have us, thinking. It's oriented around kind of different topics within this football team, within this college football season, what's to come, what's expected. So it's been awesome, man. I didn't think we could find a new avenue for Texas Tech football content at this time of the year, and we did it thanks to RC. So before we sign off, I will one more time, RC, just where everybody can give you a follow, man.
Yeah, absolutely. On Twitter at RCMB323, and then over on YouTube, the Back to 12 podcast, giving daily Texas Tech videos throughout football and men's basketball over there. So those are the two places. Then I guess TikTok too, but that's more of a baseball thing for me on there. Just be talking MLB all the time. So because again, nerd, that's what I am.
Hey.
But yeah, man, those are the places. I appreciate you having me on, man. It was a lot of fun and reminiscing about spending way too much time in income for sure.
Yeah, hey, it's long overdue, man, that we've had you on here, and I look forward, man. Come basketball season, I think we need to do it again. We'll find a good time for you.
I'll have Twitter Spaces on too. I'm doing the Twitter Spaces again this year, so
awesome.
After every football game, probably before on some, and then every men's basketball game in conference for sure, and then probably during the Maui Invitational, since they'll be able to play, potentially 3 ranked opponents.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I know I'll definitely be tuning into that. Y'all make sure you're following. And again, man, yeah, we'll find a good time to get you on. I know our listeners are going to really enjoy the insights you provided tonight. And so, guys, yeah, we'll be ready. Like I said, my only really kind of departing announcement is our YouTube channel, guys. It's Ramble On Raiders Media. Drop us a sub. Our plan is to go live on Wednesday nights with this new segment, The Rip. It's going to have Lane and Joe Petrie on there, and we're going to be, like I said, talking during football season. Texas Tech football, pretty much pregame analysis for whoever the opponent is that week, and then giving you probably 10 to 15 minutes of some hot or not so hot sports picks, man. Whichever way the wind's blowing that day, we'll see. And definitely enjoying some libations on there as well, man. So it'll be a lot of fun. And we definitely want y'all to be interactive and be a part of that, our new segment coming out. But with that, guys, it's been a great ep. Thanks for tuning in. We always appreciate that. Make sure you're dropping I guess rate, reviewing, subscribing, Apple Pod, Spotify, or on YouTube, wherever you're listening. We thank y'all for tuning in. And RC, any final words, man, to the Ramble On Raiders followers?
And just a lot of fun. Just keep it up. On
Texas. Free Shakira.
Hey, yeah, free Shakira. Also, I think the biggest thing we've learned today is intellectuals like Pepsi more than Coke.
Hey, guns up, baby. Can't end on a better note than that. Free Shakira, drink Pepsi, and get ready for some Texas Tech football. We'll see y'all next time.